Nigeria's economy unexpectedly came out of recession, I beg your pardon, in the fourth quarter as growth in agriculture and telecommunications offset a sharp drop in oil production. Gross domestic product also grew 0.11% in 3 months through December from a year earlier, compared with a decline of 3.6% in the third quarter. The Nigerian Bureau of Statistics says. To further speak on Nigeria's exit from recession is an economic expert, Kayode Irenikase. He joins us live from Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. Thank you for joining us on Galaxy Television News. What does this mean for Nigeria economically?
Yeah, economically, Nigeria just plunged into its fourth depression in a short while, and this happened to be the worst that we've had when it comes to the history of the depression. But all the same, coming out of depression, as we have seen, is not yet over for us. So that we can't start singing victory song. A measure of the fact that it was said that we have just 0.1% growth in our GDP. And since we know fully well that Nigeria, most of the economy here, the statistics coming out from the authority is not so holistic, because 50% of the sector in the Nigerian economy is actually informal. Notwithstanding, this should be a good news for us, but we can't actually say that we are out of it yet. There are still some things that still needed to be done. To start with, what is an economic depression? Is when there is low level of economic activities and you have shortage in demand and there's high level of unemployment and the rest. Knowing fully well that those are the things that actually causes depression. If you look at the economy, how should we react to it? What should be done as regards this issue of economic depression coming out of it? I'm going to look at it from two perspectives. I'll look at it from the citizenry aspect and I'll look at it from the government side. For the citizenry, the first thing that they needed to do is to look at a way to be able to increase their earning by diversifying their income base, by looking for more things that they can be able to do so that they will be able to earn more. Secondly, they need to have a budget. They need to live based on a budget. What are they going to spend per time? They should detail it. Thirdly, they also need to cut down on frivolities. They should not go for aesthetics. They should focus on functionalities. That is, if it is unneeded, then you don't need to buy it. Then on the side of the government, there are two major policies that the government can actually implement to be able to ensure that at least this is sustained. Number one, the government can look at fiscal policy. Then when it comes to fiscal policy, number one, the government needs to spend more. Spending more doesn't mean that they should get it into their own pockets. They should spend more within the economy, stimulate the economy, so that there will be a multiplier effect within the economy. Another thing that the government needs to do is the government needs to reduce income tax. At every point in time when the government reduces income tax, it means that the purchasing power of the citizen will increase. They will have more money to spend, and as they are spending more money, there will be an accelerating effect on the economy. The first Great Depression in the 1930s, we were told in economics that some people were employed to dig holes while others were employed to fill up the holes. That may seem to be just activity, but at least it pumps money into the economy and it will help the economy to be able to rejig itself. Then when it comes to monetary policy, the government has taken a bold step as regards that by reducing interest rate, but I think the government is paying more of lip service to it. Central bank has to be up to date in their activities by monitoring these banks and ensuring that truly they are implementing what they said they should implement. Most of the banks are still charging high, and those who want to borrow money cannot be able to walk to them and borrow money freely. Then when it comes to monetary policy also, the government still needs to do more. We've heard about the Nigerian Economic Growth Plan, but they need to implement it and ensure that at least it becomes a document paper. Not only on paper, but it should be implemented. But lastly, this might not be economics, but it is actually needed. The state of insecurity in the country is quite high. And whether we like it or not, there is an economic cost to that. Number one, there will be capital flight. Secondly, we cannot be able to attract foreign direct investment by virtue of the fact that the investors will not want to come and invest in an economy that is not secure. So we need to ensure that at least the security is built up. People are spending more to ensure that at least they carry out their own business activity. The agricultural sector is almost paralyzed. We may have a food crisis any moment from now. So security, government has to do something major about it. It has an economic effect, and definitely the effect will say well, whether if it is properly handled, it will help us to be able to sustain this moving out of recession. And if it is not done, probably I pray that we don't plunge into another depression, and this might even be worse.
Briefly,
we know fully well that productive activity.
What non-oil sectors should the government pay attention to despite the presence of COVID-19?
If you are looking at the non-oil sector that the government should concentrate on, I think agricultural is still the mainstay, and service sector is actually contributing majorly to the economy now. So the government needs to focus more on agriculture, not only by doling out money. There are so many policies, there are so many things that can be done that will ensure that at least the agricultural sector come up alive. There should be an expansion. There should be a program whereby people are being given loan that they can go into agriculture. But no matter the benefits we are going to reap from agriculture, I think insecurity might actually erode it away. So the agricultural sector should be a focused sector for the government. Also, the service sector. The service sector is actually peaking, but something has to be done fast concerning those two sectors so that we'll be able to sustain the gain that we have got in thus far.
Mr. Kayode Irenikase, it's a pleasure talking to you. He is an economic expert. Thank you for joining us on the news today.